Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, powered, brought to you by the No Fallen Heroes universe, Echoverse, not Metaverse, man. It's so funny, people buying $3,500 goggles to wear on their face to avoid the universe that God created, right? Enjoy that. I'm good. And the Maverick Mind series of products, man. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff, but start my day today. Beautiful start to today. It's always a beautiful start to the day. If you wake up, you got a roof over your head, you got running water, you got folks that love you, man. You're blessed. But start with a 20-minute mindfulness meditation with my 2 morning brief Maverick Mind microdoses, man. Gets me right in the zone to start the day. I personally take 2 of those in the morning, right into my mindfulness meditation. And then I go to hot yoga, 60-minute vinyasa, hot flow, and gets my mind, body, and soul right. Hot yoga, moving meditation. Never understood what that meant until I actually started doing it. And then when I'm done, man, I recover with holy water, our euphoric energy drink. So try this holy water. Go to microdoses.com. This holy water is absolutely fantastic. 100% natural, 100% legal. Get rid of all the ridiculous sugar, and all those energy drinks are awful. How about, and dudes in a beaker and a lab type of thing making that? You want to go all natural, and these are great. So microdoses.com, you can order the Maverick Mind products. Love the morning brief. And then obviously about an hour before I go to bed, night duty, I take 2 of those as well. And man, sleep is lighter, sleep is better. I wake up without a sleep hangover. It's fantastic. And all this stuff, folks, I do 5 days on, Monday through Friday, 2 days off, take the weekend off. So make sure you check out these line of healing products to help you take care of your mind, body, and soul. And a portion of every one of these purchases goes to put the ladder down and help provide a healing grant for a veteran, first responder, or a family member. So you're supporting the No Fallen Heroes mission and universe when you get one of these Maverick Mind or the Holy Water products. So go check all that stuff out. Okay, let's go ahead and get airborne. What a great week. So this week, my beautiful bride and I hopped on a flight up to what an absolute shithole, JFK. It's like a Civil War reenactment. Bodies everywhere. Can't stand JFK. Anyway, went to JFK and got there and went to a Rangers game, man. So Monday night, went to a Rangers game. They beat up on the Flames. It was cool. I'd never been to Madison Square Garden before, MSG. So we got in a Rangers game, and then at 4 a.m, winter storm hit New York City. So I'm glad we flew in a day early. Love the city in the snow. It's beautiful. It's cool. It's calming. Not a lot of people are out on the streets. It gets a little less crazy. So it was really nice. And then we went to the Club 30 podcast with the king of Madison Square Garden, Henrique, call sign Hank Lundqvist. If you're not a hockey fan, probably don't know who he is, but what a great dude. NHL legend. He's in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Rangers. He's the king of Madison Square Garden. Had a great Club 30 podcast with him and Jay. Hour and a half, man. We debriefed his flight in the No Fallen Heroes fighter jet out in Aspen, where he did just a great job. We had a great time. Very proud of him, man, because we landed and drove to the Colorado Extreme Rink. And they played the NHL alumni game, man. So he was on the ice after his fighter jet flight. And then the after party. Dude, I bailed. I flew a couple times that day, so I'm old and flew a couple times. I flew Scotty Updog from the Missing Curfew podcast, and obviously great NHL dude. Didn't get a chance to fly Obi yet, so hopefully he comes down here to South Florida. But it was great podcast with Hank. Talked about his flight in the fighter jet, and then also our mission at No Fallen Heroes, and how we're also aligned with Carcillo and NHL players and NFL players with these healing medicines. So make sure you check out the Club 30 podcast with Hank Lundqvist. I think he said that episode's dropping in April. We're the first episode of his season 3, so really excited about that. So, and then by that afternoon, it was blue skies in New York, and the snow had all melted, and it was gone. So it was cool. Quick up and back to New York City, and here we are. A lot to talk about today. To finish up, the previous podcast just dropped this week. Obviously, we're living in the past if you're listening to this, even though it's always now. But Susie came into the studio, and we knocked out a really big integration podcast. You have got to check that out. If you are going to sit with the medicine and you have a significant other or mom and dad or kids or a loved one, please, I'm begging you, listen to that episode. I think it's episode 89. Integration is critical as a couple, but briefing, which we're going to talk about today, briefing before you sit with the medicine, not only you, if you're going to step into the medicine, but your loved one, your significant other. We're going to do a much better job this year at No Fallen Heroes, getting the significant others up to speed, helping them hold space while their loved one is gone, and helping them integrate. It's interesting because some guys, gals, some of our grant recipients are like, I'm going to keep this secret from my loved one because, no. You can't do that. There's only truth, right? You got to be open. You got to be honest. Seen some issues with folks who are trying to keep it on down low or whatever between their loved ones. Obviously, we have a lot of veterans who are keeping it on the down low, especially my brothers and sisters who fly for the airlines, who are taking care of themselves, putting the mask on themselves to be better humans, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, husbands, all that stuff, and aviators. So I get it. They're active duty folks. There are active police and fire folks that are doing these healing medicines to really help themselves and their families and their communities. In the case of the first responders, do you think the world would be a much better place with empathetic police, fire, and the sheriffs showing up? They obviously go out of their way to be professional and everything like that, but man, what a tough job, thankless job. Defund the police. How'd that work out? Morons. So thankless job. So having an empathetic police officer show up would be fantastic moving forward. Somebody who has empathy and compassion and cares, as opposed to kind of burn out and expecting just the worst out of people. It sucks. So, let's talk through. Let me finish up. I'm going to finish up the ketamine debrief that was interrupted by bringing Susie in to talk about integration and couple, healing as a couple. So let me finish up the ketamine debrief. Let me lead with this. I was wrong. Always got to lead with inside out criticism. And it was out of ignorance, right? I never sat with ketamine before. So had the opportunity, was Zappy out at Camp Zappy in Malibu, beautiful setting, and completely got me up to speed with ketamine and changed my opinion. I was a little bit of a medicine snob with, it's made in a lab, dude, lab coat beaker, not of this earth. It's not plant medicine. Changed my mind about all of that stuff. And right now it's a Schedule 3, which means it's legal, therapeutic use, which, by the way, hand to God, write this down on your calendar, August 11th. The FDA has said by August 11, we will know whether or not they approve MDMA for therapeutic use, making it a Schedule 3, kind of like where ketamine is right now. Man, we got a lot of good stuff coming. Let me put on my Top Gun options hat real quick. What are you doing? Did you buy the psychedelic stocks like I've told you to? If you did, you're printing money. Let me review your little ETF, the little self-made exchange-traded fund that you could make for yourself. MindMed, MNMD. Mike November, Mike Delta, MindMed. Take a look at that stock. Buy it with both hands. Compass, CMPS, Charlie Mike Papa Sierra. Buy it with both hands. Atai, ATAI. These names will explode. They've started their liftoff. These will be one that I'm telling you, if you've listened to me, you've done pretty damn good over the past X amount of months in these names. They will explode when, not if, the FDA approves MDMA for therapeutic use. Warning, Will Robinson. I could be absolutely, completely wrong. Breaking news, the FDA has ruled no. That can happen, folks. Welcome to Uncle Sam. Welcome to Big Pharma, alcohol, tobacco lobbies, getting their teeth in at the FDA, having a nice dinner. Oh, who's this briefcase full of cash? Somebody left it. Have a good night. I don't know, man. That can happen, folks. Trust me. There are forces aligned with wanting you healed. Doesn't that make your skin crawl? It makes me physically ill. Big pharma, alcohol, tobacco. I've told you countless times when my visits to ZC, behind closed doors, congressmen like, hey man, you're going to have a problem with big pharma. Fuck I am. You're going to have a problem with big pharma or alcohol or tobacco. Because their check's clear, right? And the alcohol, tobacco, big pharma lobby have zero incentive for this stuff to be legal or for you to heal. Big pharma wants you hooked for life, baby. They ain't about healing. They're about profit. Putting my Gordon Gekko Armani suit on, or Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street suit, good. As an investor, as a shareholder in the pharmaceutical companies, good. That's their job. Make me filthy rich. Taking off that disgusting Armani suit and getting back to being Whiz, that sucks. So I kind of straddle both worlds, right? I teach people how to trade and all that type of stuff. To quote Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street, if you want a friend, get a dog. I'm going to teach you how to make money. But we can do both, right? We can make some money, which is fantastic, but also save and change lives. So we'll see, folks. I always have to hedge. I always have to put that disclaimer out there. I could be completely wrong. FDA, after, what was it, 2018, 17? They gave MDMA breakthrough therapy status. Here we are 4 years later, 7 years later. Define breakthrough therapy, FDA. My God, 2244, pick a number. Veterans take their own lives every day. We're going to run out of veterans by the time you legalize MDMA for therapeutic use. But we're getting there, I hope. So that was announced this week. The FDA gave us a date, August 11th. Bought a shitload of the MindMed September $6 strike calls. Buy them. Buy them with both hands. And I don't want this to happen. Again, I'm bipolar and so am I. I'm torn. The trader in me will tell you that Big Pharma is watching the Wild West right now. MindMed, Atai, Compass, Cybin, Celios, all these psychedelic companies are burning through wads of cash, doing phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 studies and figuring everything out. It's the Wild West. After the dust settles, I guarantee you, I don't want this to happen, but I guarantee you, Pfizer, Moderna, I guarantee you, Big Pharma walks in with a massive checkbook and goes, yeah, that's great. Thanks for doing all the work. And now we own you. Said this countless times. I'm going to repeat it. But God is a smart pharmacologist and investor. You can't patent a root or a fungus. You can't trademark a toad. You can play with the molecules around it and change the name a little bit and patent it and trademark it and try and charge a shitload of money. Healing's free, ladies and gentlemen. That's what God intended. Put this stuff on the planet, not in a lab, in a beaker, for us to heal. For thousands and thousands of years, other cultures have been using these medicines to heal. And look at us in the West. Look at what we just found. The shamans and medicine women are like, yeah, okay. Good on you. So that happened this week. That's great news. Finishing up with ketamine. Again, little medicine snobbish, so I'll get rid of that ego real quick. After starting with ibogaine and doing a forward flip in the bed with my 5-MeO DMT experience, if that's news to you, welcome to this podcast and go listen to episode 7. We're going to talk about that in a checklist in a second, but that's required listening. Episode 7. Go listen to it. After doing that, and then Iboga in Costa Rica, and then heroic dose psilocybin at the Do Good Ranch out in Colorado, I have experience with various medicines, extremely powerful medicines, therapeutic, healing, powerful. Now, ketamine. Preparing for the journey, they're like, okay, in about 30, 45 minutes, you can sit up or hang out. Just don't disturb other people. And I'm like, whoa, 30 to 45 minutes. I'm like getting ready for a prize fight. Here we go. Ibogaine, 12, 14 hour, journey, got my smelling salts. Cut me, Mick. I'm like, say again, 30, 45 minutes. And then everything's, yeah. I'm like, okay. So God, the universe provides right on time. I needed to knock some rust off. There was some ice buildup on the Whiz fighter. Needed to de-ice. So this opportunity came at that time, but I also want to kind of to do it clinically. Let me look at my watches how long it takes and this and what, so I was doing both, right? As a Top Gun, guy, you do both. You want to, you investigate what can I get from this to teach? And then I also want to kill, shoot down MiGs. It was a lozenge, like a little in between a mini starburst and a regular starburst. Kind of a lozenge, because you can either do intermuscular or you can do an IV to do ketamine, apparently. We did lozenge. Folks that were there holding space, some ketamine providers are like, hey man, the IV or the intermuscular is a different blast off and experience. I'm like, okay. So didn't do that. But folks, it was about a 10-minute. They told you they had to, somebody was keeping time, like put it in your mouth and just swish. I'm like, okay. 10 minutes of swishing. They're like, don't swallow if you can, just swish. And it'll be a better activation, because apparently if you swallow it, then it's kind of in your stomach and they don't know how long it'll take. It could be a longer experience. I think that's how they explained it. If not, make sure you reach out to my brother, Daniel Carcillo. He owned ketamine clinics. That's kind of right up his alley. So at about I'm looking at my watch. I'm doing this clinically as an instructor pilot. Around the 8-9 minute point, I'm like, starting to feel a little something. And they had a cup, with a paper towel in it next to your mattress there. And kind of, they said, get rid of the rest of it so you don't swallow it. And, okay, looked at my watch and, 30 to 45 minutes. This makes no sense to me. Brought my eye shades down, and lift off. It absolutely, ketamine. I was a little leery going into this ketamine experience because I do my research. We're going to talk about a checklist. The first time I sat with the medicine, as you'll listen to in episode 7, it was like a 2-3 week heads up. I had preparation, but now now I'm super prepared. So did all my research on ketamine, and I don't like the term disassociative. It's like an anesthesia and it's disassociative. I'm like, I want to be associated. I don't like being disassociated. So again, preconceived notions going into this. I'm like, And I'd listened to other people's experience about ketamine, or Daniel or Cody or other folks. And I'm like, I'm doing it. Need to knock some rust off, but also I need to be able to speak to it, to veterans and first responders and their family members. Because we fast forward a little bit. I absolutely 1000% agree that it is it's a tourniquet. It's a triage. Somebody who's hurting pretty bad right now, get them in ketamine. Before I did this, I'm like, that sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I was wrong. That is the smartest thing I've ever heard. Somebody's suicidal, veteran suicidal, get them a ketamine treatment. I'm like, gee, you have no idea what you're talking about. I had no idea what I was talking about. Anyway, it's a psychedelic, folks. It was an experience. It was absolutely, it was beautiful. There were some visuals. that I'll get into, but a lot more feeling. And I love telling you this part because whatever word you want to use, God, source, divine, truth, universe, spirit, you pick it. I use the word God. Came, or is always there, duh, but it knocked the fog out, the rust buildup, the ice on my wings cleared, and God checked in like, hey, bud, you're good. You got this. It was the most calming feeling in the world. Like, I didn't go anywhere. Thank you for kind of checking in, but you're good, son. And you're on the right path. It was fantastic. It was a peaceful feeling. And I didn't go in looking for that, right? I just kind of went in like, I don't know what ketamine is, and 30 minutes, 45 minutes from now, everything's going to be fine. All right, let's see what's up. That came. It came and gave me a good, reassuring hug. Very spiritual, very therapeutic. And I was not seeking that. You've heard me say this often. I'll say it again. The medicine gives you what you need, not what you want. I didn't go in with once other than I need to do this to be able to speak to it to people and not sound ignorant. Got it. But it was very affirming. It was very calm. It wasn't, in my experience, it wasn't disassociative. Like I wasn't not me. I was me in my one-man luge experiencing a nice refresher visit from God. Warning, your experience will vary. That's why I hesitate sometimes to brief my medicine experiences, because there is no way on God's green earth you will have the exact same experience. Some people report similar experiences type of thing, but that's why I hesitate. But I just did want to share that with you, because when I was in it, I went eye shades up for a little bit to look at my watch. I'm like, wow, okay. Because I was, again, trying to be flight instructor so I could speak to this. Peak, 20 to 30 minute, it's a parabola, right? Peak experience, 20 to 30 minutes, and then kind of the downside. Nice, gentle, nothing scary, dark, it was perfect. I got exactly what I needed. And 30, 45 minutes later, I'm like sitting up in the bed, eye shades up, looking at everybody, and people are smiling, and it was great. And the energy of a group ketamine experience, Zappy is starting to do this a little bit more, as opposed to go to your local ketamine clinic and the nurse hooks you up and he comes back in 45 minutes later. All right, that might not be how it is, but there isn't a lot of group ketamine. If you do go to your local ketamine clinic, you're not doing it in a big room of people you've never met before, and then you're leaving in, 45 minutes. So this was, we got there the day before, we yoga, breathwork, meditation, intention setting. We did a hike on the ranch up a beautiful mountain. So, but it was very cool to have the experience of a group. Now, if you do ketamine in a clinic, doctor, I forget the Yale, Dr. Jonathan Fields, can type me up. It's like 6 treatments over 3 months, or I don't want to misspeak, but there is a dedicated protocol. Absolutely a psychedelic, absolutely therapeutic. I can see how somebody could have a life-saving, life-changing, transformative experience just doing ketamine. I can also, and that's it. I've done ketamine Whiz. It healed me or helped me out, and I'm good. Perfect. That's fantastic. I can also see how it is a triage if you do some ketamine therapy and you get stabilized. If it calls to you, maybe then you could look into some of the other medicines, iboga, ibogaine, psilocybin, ayahuasca, 5-MeO, DMT, mescaline. Again, our beautiful director of medicine operations, Miss Nicole Fox, she knows all of these things. So we work with our veterans, our first responders, their family members, our grant recipients to slot them where the medicine leads them. You're the pilot in command of you. After we work with you and you kind of figure out where you are, you make the choice. After you do your research, you talk to us, you listen to podcasts, you jump on Google. It's up to you. You're the pilot in command of your aircraft. But the only thing I haven't sat with yet is ayahuasca. And I will be 1,000% honest with you. There's no other way to be. You know what? I can't stand when people say that. I'm going to take that back. I'm just going to talk because you should believe me. There's only truth. It doesn't call to me. I listen to Slider. I've listened to Nicole. I've listened to a bunch of folks. And I'll be honest, because it's interesting. After I got done doing ibogaine and came home and No Fallen Heroes and started really looking into these medicines, people are like, oh yeah, I've done ayahuasca. I've drank or sat with ayahuasca, like 30 times. And, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? Because I was comparing it to ibogaine, nuclear explosion, 13-hour, 10, 12-hour. Biggest decision in my life was, deciding to roll on my side at one point. It took like an hour to do that. So I again, ignorance of other medicine. So let me just be clear. I'm good with psilocybin. I'm good with iboga. I'm good with ibogaine, and now ketamine. Ayahuasca, it's not there. And I think I'm pretty good with it, with everything for kind of now. I got my instructor. I can speak to it. And I'm going to remind you, I have to say this often. The more medicine work that I do, the less I know. And if that creeps you out, you've probably haven't done medicine work, right? Because that's a beautiful statement. If there's a chambro running around out there saying, oh, I've done a lot of medicine, so I know everything, run from these people, folks. You are the medicine. Okay? A healer doesn't heal. A healer shows you the path or holds space or facilitates. You can only heal you. Nobody else can. I told you that when I stepped into Iboga in Costa Rica last year. That was such a heartwarming. Thank God that God gave me that. Matthew, thank you for what you're doing. This is awesome. You can't heal anybody. You're doing a great job. Get them to the door. That was so peaceful to me because I had been wrapped around the axle. I'm failing. I'm trying to help people. It's not working. And I was in a funk. And God's like, no, son, that's my job. That's my job, buddy, right? I wrote down the word apostle after my first Iboga experience in my chicken scratch in my journal, and I didn't know what that word meant at the time. My guide, Cynthia's like, on your gray day, your discovery day, just write. Even if you don't know what it means, just write, because years later, it now makes sense. So again, I can speak to it, but I ain't no expert by any stretch of the imagination. I have experience with these things, and I can share my experience and a little bit of wisdom. But man, who is it? Ram Dass. The higher I go, the more I see. The more I see, the more I am free. And the more I am free, the less I know. Right? Yeah. I think I got that right. The higher I go, the more I see, the more I see. Yeah, something like that. It's a grounding statement by him to kind of remind, to keep people grounded. Ain't no chambro or any of those type of vibes, you know. It's a beautiful saying. Now what I want to get into is a checklist because, you know, people reach out to me often and say, hey man, how do I start? Or this is calling me. Here we go. Let me clean this up. Baba Ram Dass. The freer I get, the higher I go. The higher I go, the more I see. The more I see, the less I know. And the less I know, the more I am free. Absolutely beautiful. Love that. So, I love responding Instagram DMs, grant requests. I get an email every time somebody, clicks one of those forms or contact us. It goes right to me. And instead of answering each one individually with the same stuff, I'm actually starting to copy and paste. I think I'm going to point people to, what is this, episode 90 of the podcast. Folks, I'm an aviator. I need a checklist. Right here is a checklist. This is the FA 18, A through D, OPCL, right? This is the pocket checklist. You see this size right here? Why does it look like this? Because it goes right in your G suit, right? In your right or left leg, right down there. This is your brain. This is the F-18 flight manual squeezed down to the must-know items, right? And the yellow section are the emergency procedures. In the emergency procedures, there was things called IAEs, immediate action items. These were the things you had to memorize once a month or maybe a couple times a month in the ready room. All right, boys and girls, IAE exam, immediate action exam. You had to sit there with your pen, nope. And you had to fill out the immediate action items. What are those things? When something bad happens in the airplane, these are the immediate actions that need to happen. You can't refer to that thing. After you stabilize by knocking out your immediate action items, then you can open the PCL, go to the page, and read the rest of the stuff, right? So we're going to talk about a medicine checklist today. And you had to know those things, man, before you go flying. If we went out to do a dogfight, everybody had to recite the out-of-control flight procedures. If you got into a spin or departed the aircraft means it ain't kept responding to what you wanted to do. You've departed the aircraft. You're still in it. You didn't depart the aircraft. It's an aviation term. If you depart the aircraft or it gets into a spin, what do? Controls release, feet off rudders, check speed brake in. Is still out of control, throttle to idle, AOA, altitude, airspeed, and yaw rate check. When recovery indicated by AOA and yaw tones removed, side forces subsided, airspeed accelerating through 180 knots, recover. If dive recovery not initiated before 6,000 feet, eject. You had to say that word for word. If you stumbled, you screwed it up, you didn't know it, you ain't going flying. Out of control flight, man. I used to study that when I was a student. I used to juggle, walk around like my one-bedroom apartment with my golden retriever Bowser, right? Why? Because you can't just sit there and memorize something. You're going to be doing something. If you're in a Hornet and you departed controlled flight and you're in a spin, shit's going to be flying around and spinning. You got to be able to recite these things. So I'm glad I did that. That's probably been 2 decades. That tells you how ingrained this stuff is in my life. So a checklist. Here is your medicine checklist. Before I get airborne, though, the front of every one of these flight manuals, it's really interesting because it's a get out of jail free card, and it's also like you can hang yourself. What do I mean by that? The front page of every Navy flight manual says nothing in this manual takes the place of good head work and judgment by the pilot command. Translation: you can break procedures. You better have a damn good reason. And if it works out for you, you might get a medal. If you break procedures and it doesn't work out for you, we're going to rip the wings off your chest. And now you're another asshole mowing the lawn. So anything I tell you today is my checklist, the checklist I have used, and refined in this medicine work. Excuse me. So before we get into like a medicine checklist, and again, folks, at No Fallen Heroes, we treat the medicine work like a combat mission. Contingency plan. What's our mission objectives? What are our resources? Boom. So, but before we plan to do a mission or the medicine, we have to do our intel gathering. So let me start with what you should do to gather intel. There are a ton of resources out there to get you up to speed. Netflix, How to Change Your Mind. You can binge watch it. It's 4 episodes. 4 episodes, you can watch it in a night, in an afternoon. Each one of the episodes covers a different medicine. MDMA, psilocybin. I think one of them is LSD. And mescaline. Really sucks that, they didn't do ibogaine or iboga. Maybe they'll add one of those. I will do that in our docu-series that we're launching. Well, we're going to do, I think, might be going to Gabon, Africa for this docu-series. We'll get to that. Watch How to Change Your Mind. It's also a great book by Michael Pollan. It's a great read. More info in the book, obviously, than in the Netflix series. But if you're a watcher, watch How to Change Your Mind on Netflix. There are other great documentaries about the medicine. Zappelin has done a couple great documentaries. He did a great documentary with Lamar Odom, Kardashian NBA player, alcoholic, druggie, saved and changed his life doing ibogaine. So Zappy's got some great documentaries out there as well. Podcasts, not a shameless plug. You have got to listen to episode How to Change Your Mind on Netflix or read the book. Second asset. This, you have got to go back and listen to episode 7, my first medicine debrief. Now, I forget the numbers of some of the other ones where I debrief Iboga and then I debrief Colorado. But this podcast, folks, just ask me, is probably the greatest resource. And that's not too much ego, believe it or not. If you are a significant other or a female, listen to Susie's podcast, episode 33. It's fine. It's always fine. And make sure you both, loved ones or parents or kids or whatever, listen to our last podcast, episode 89, I believe, with Susie and I talking about holding space and integration. If you have a significant other, they have got to be brought up to speed on this mission you are doing. Otherwise, it will not be good. It can be potentially perilous when you get home. Warning. Okay. So, How to Change Your Mind on Netflix. This podcast, almost every episode, except for a couple random Whiz rant ones that you can skip, are medicine debriefs with veterans, aviators, ground pounders, Marines, female veterans, first responders, and family members. So I'm telling you, folks, the Max Afterburner podcast, just scroll through them and pick them, the medicine ones. Slider, my brother Mark Keller, Tomcat guy, had a weapons delivery go wrong in Iraq and killed 3 generations of innocent Iraqi families, man. 12 people. Read about his experience. Listen to his experience because he got home, suicidal, drugs, alcohol, hooked on benzos. Thank you, VA. Thank you, Big Pharma. So anybody listening to this, any trauma you have, it's trauma, right? Trauma is trauma. Don't trauma grade. We don't trauma shame. If something is hurting you, it's hurting you. Trauma is trauma. I remember kind of going, well, I wasn't a Navy SEAL on the ground, seeing people get blown up. Man, trauma's trauma. My childhood, the 16 brothers I lost flying fighters, the 3 due to suicide. Trauma's trauma. So know that you are not alone and that healing is absolutely possible. Okay, so that's some intel sources. Now let's start digging into my journey. And let me get this out of the way real quick. I ain't a doctor. Don't play one on TV. I think I played doctor a couple times in my life, maybe at a Halloween party. But no, folks, not giving you medical advice. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, any of that stuff. I'm me, and I'm sharing my experiences. So check with those people who have years of education and letters after their name. Always not a bad idea. As part of your medicine checklist here at No Fallen Heroes, you will do, and it depends on the clinic, The mission within, you do blood work, you do an EKG when you show up there. They do a drug and alcohol test when you show up there. You got any drugs or alcohol on board? You ain't sitting with the medicine. You're hooked up to an EKG during your ibogaine experience. I know they do the same thing at Beyond down in Mexico. I might go down to Beyond and check out their operation. We don't recommend anywhere that we haven't gone and sat with the medicine. Me, Nicole, Susie. So I'm going to work with Beyond to get down there and check out their operation. Looks great. Jordan Belfort went down there, the Wolf of Wall Street, and got his mind right. So looking forward to working with the folks at Beyond as well. So again, not medical advice. This is me talking. But years ago, after some of my dark nights of the soul, lying on the bathroom floor type of thing, a friend's like, man, you need to do yoga or something or meditate. I'm like, that sounds like the dumbest thing in the world. I'd kick my own ass if I saw me doing yoga or meditate. I can't, what do you mean, sit and do nothing? Yeah, right. I got shit to do. After more dark nights of the soul, I'm like, okay, man, what can it hurt at this point? And I walked down the street downtown Fort Lauderdale to the yoga joint in my running shoes and running shorts. I had no idea there was yoga clothes, but and they were the nicest people, man. I walked in there and said, help. Day one. And the ladies at the desk could not have been nicer. Like, oh my God, welcome. Day one type of, it was awesome. Obviously, or not obviously, if you don't know, met Nicole Fox, just absolutely incredible yoga instructor. And we became very close friends, very good friends, gave me private lessons. And man, the yoga started to help me immeasurably. It really, really helped. Along the way, Nicole's like, well, you meditate, right? Or practice mindfulness. I'm like, that just sounds impossible to me. So we went up to a weekend meditation retreat up in Delray Beach with Matt Cardone. And I learned it's a meditation practice, folks, right? It's not a meditation do. Just like, doctors, they practice medicine. They don't execute medicine or do medicine. They practice medicine. So I started a meditation practice. And those two things combined together were pretty damn stabilizing. Yoga is a moving meditation. So it was like a Reese's peanut butter cup. I started putting those two together. So if you're interested, jump on your phone, Google local hot. It doesn't have to be hot, but I enjoy the hot yoga studio. Man, as a fighter pilot, had to be in the best shape of my life. Worked out with SEALs on the aircraft carrier. Man, I throw some weight around in the gym. I think I'm in great shape. My first yoga sessions, hot yoga, 60-minute sessions, like by the 30-minute point, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to die. So it doesn't have to be hot, but folks, this, without a doubt, the hardest workouts I've ever done. I don't do yoga. I alternate. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of thing, hot yoga, Tuesday, Thursday, and sprinkled in some of those afternoons. I'll do 2-a-days. I'll go over here to the Boca Resort and throw some iron around. So I take a balanced approach and throw in a day of cardio or a long run on the beach or something like that. So please look into yoga. Why yoga or hot yoga? It allows you to move through uncomfortableness, which some medicine experiences, you can experience some uncomfortableness. First of all, it teaches you that what? It's going to pass. It ain't forever, right? And you can breathe through it. Same thing with starting a mindfulness practice. You're going to need to be able to do some breath work when you're doing the medicine work on the ketamine. 9-minute point swishing around. I'm like, you know what? Eye shades on. Let me get into a little bit of a meditation right here. And then that's when we had liftoff. And then after the peak experience of the ketamine towards the back end, I'm like, got back into my meditative state. It was fantastic. There are some, you're not supposed to grade your meditation, you just do. But there are times when I'm in a quote good meditative state where I'm almost, or if not back to that 5-MeO experience. No thought, no mind, no body, just soul, and connect to source. Absolute peace, nirvana. It's a family show, but I'll say it's orgasm. It's an infinite type of orgasm. Those are always in a good way, but you know what I'm getting at. It's just a different experience. So if you can have a yoga practice and some breath work practice, you don't have to be an expert in anything like that, man. That's why it's a meditative practice. Some days I'm like, man, I can't. The fact that I can recognize, like, dude, you're racing today. That's me outside of me looking at me going, yeah, that's a win. Folks, there is no failing in meditation. The mornings where I'm just like, man, this one's tough. That's good. That's self-awareness. That's me recognizing that some old me would, spiral down, but it's good. So even a quote bad meditation is better than nothing. Meditation, hot yoga, go to Staples, go to Office Depot. I don't care where you go, get a journal. I'll admit it. Thought people who journal, a little weird, until I did it in the fleet. And I actually lost my journals. That's a separate story. Breaks my heart. I don't know why that was supposed to happen, God, but I'm waiting for that to be revealed. I had 4 huge journals of me flying off the carrier, flying over Iraq. It was fantastic. I wanted those to give them to my kids so they could read about it one day. Fast forward to the medicine. They're like, you need to journal. I'm like, thank God I did. Reading my journal that I started a couple days before doing my first medicine experience, rereading from the before to today. I got a stack of journals in the corner of my office at home. I'll reread how far I've come. It's absolutely critical for you to journal. Please, please, please just start. Date in the top right, left-hand corner, and just start writing. I have no idea why I'm starting this journal. Great start. Just keep writing. How are you feeling today? What's worrying you? What are you looking forward to? There is something about picking up un stilo, engaging brain housing group to your un stilo, and writing. You're also just kind of like putting it out to the universe, man. These are my intentions. These are my desires, my wants. Trust me, journal. You're going to want to journal before, you're going to want to journal after, and you're just going to want to journal. It's work. I'll go like a week. I'm like, oh man, I haven't read. I'll grab it and go to the beach or somewhere and kind of get caught up to speed. But I'm telling you that is absolutely part of your pre-flight preparation is to journal. Okay. So we talked about yoga. We talked about breath work. We talked about journaling. I already started this podcast with potentially microdosing to get the body, mind, and soul kind of clean and introduced to the medicine. Quick reminder, these are 100% legal. Quick history lesson. You're going to Vietnam to kill the yellow man who you've never met before. I'm not doing that. I love the yellow man. Why are you saying that? Well, I took some psilocybin and I love everybody. You do love everybody? That's now illegal and you're going to jail for doing that. Or actually, here's a rifle and you're going to go kill the yellow man anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, Uncle Sam, in their knee-jerk reaction zeal to make something God put on this planet illegal, they didn't make all of it illegal. There's muscara mushroom. There's various mushrooms, folks, that are 100% legal. I think one of them in Louisiana is illegal. Sorry, Louisiana. That's weird. 49 states. The exact same, similar, or better reactions than psilocybin. So in our Maverick Mind products, folks, the Morning Brief, the Night Trap, and in our Holy Water, folks, 100% legal, start getting your body ready for the medicine. Now, I microdose Iboga every once in a while before or after my Iboga ceremony, so that's a separate conversation, but these are, I would absolutely 1,000% start doing this before your medicine retreat. Nicole will give you a formal checklist. 5 weeks before your medicine, you should be doing this. 4 weeks, 3. So there is a formal checklist. I'm kind of giving you the whiz one. I don't want to steal Nicole's thunder because she does a great job at stepping, preparing you. Your diet's got to change, man. Ditch the bottle. Put the bottle down. If you're a drinker, you ain't a drinker before you do the medicine. You got to come into this thing clean. I'm a meat eater. They want you, I don't know, again, Nicole can speak to it, 7 days, maybe throttle back on the red meats type of thing. So you're showing up a pure vessel, as ready as you can be. So ditching, and then she will talk, and your doctor and all sorts of stuff about stair-stepping you down on some medications. She's not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. You're the pilot in command, but we will talk to you about this, right? And Doc Martine Polanco at the Mission Within, all the medical directors at these places will talk to you and get involved. Some of you are taking stuff that you absolutely have to take every day. I get that stuff, but some of the other stuff, SSRIs or stuff like that, you kind of want to, if you can, step down and go into this thing clean. I will remind you, I have sat in ceremony with guys and gals who've been loaded up before with VA pharmaceuticals, man. I don't know of one of them that is back on anything pharma. Isn't that incredible? Now that's so threatening if you're a pharma executive listening to this. Or if you're smart, go try and capitalize on it. That's Gordon Gekko, not Whiz. Okay, so diet. Ditch the booze. Clearly ditch the drugs, and then any pharmas you're on, work with Nicole, work with the medical directors, work with your doctor to see if you can stair-step it down. Not giving you medical advice, man, but I'm telling you, go into the medicine, quote, as clean, unquote, as possible. Okay? So diet, no booze, you're microdosing, you're doing some hot yoga, you're doing some breath work. I guarantee you are pretty damn good to go. Nicole will work with you on this, or Susie. Susie's starting to pitch in as well since our list is growing. She's got her Being True to You certificate. She went through the training, so Susie can also do this stuff. But they will work with you. I said this is a combat mission, right? You do not go into a combat situation without a mission objective. Why are we doing this? Why are we here? What's our exit strategy? So before I went into the medicine for the first time, Cynthia, my guide, had me come up with 5 intentions for the medicine. Not expectations, intentions. Big difference between intentions and wants, desires, needs, intentions. I also went into the medicine with 5 questions. Why do you do these things? Because as you go through your preparation for the medicine, you can either be goose, you can sit in the back seat and buckle up, buttercup, and see what develops, or you can potentially drive the fight a little bit. Maybe you can, as the universe is, and God, or whatever word you choose, is guiding you through this experience, you can ask those questions. And when you put those intentions out to the universe and the medicine is starting to work with you, it knows them. Again, 5 years ago, hearing me talk like this, I'd give me a wedgie and take my own lunch money. That guy died on a bed in Mexico, folks. I'm telling you. The ibogaine, when it goes in, it does an inventory. You can feel the ibogaine doing an inventory. Like, all right, what's this guy's problem, man? What are we gonna work on? What are we gonna help heal? Oh, there's some cool intentions. Good job, Whiz, for doing the work, the pre-flight preparation. That sounds nuts to you. It isn't, and it won't be. This will all make sense to you. So and 5 might be too many. You can have 1. Don't have too many. Make these things solid. 3 to 5. These are the questions. 3 to 5. These are my intentions. This is why I am stepping into the medicine. And I guarantee you, with everything else that I just kind of gave you as your pre-flight checklist or preparation, is going to set you up for success. Now, to all of my friends out there who are sitting there going, oh, this invariably happens. Oh, I tried mushrooms once and it was a horrible experience. It was dark or this. I'm like, okay. I just spent 20 minutes giving you pre-flight preparation. 99.9% of the time, people hit me with, oh, I did X, Y, and Z. And, it was really, I'm like, did you do any of the things that I just spent 20 minutes doing? No. Duh. It's almost like the medicines are warning us not to do it a certain way. We talk about set. What's your mindset going into the medicine? And setting. Where are you? So I don't even need to have somebody explain to me the situation. I know what happened for you to have a bad experience. Very, very rarely do people do all the pre-work that I just mapped out, go in with the intention of the questions, have a, quote, bad experience. I'm going to say with the hundreds of people we've helped, it's 0. So there's something to be said for putting in the work. Again, I talked about whoever that Marine Force Recon dude is, on the Fox News article, like psychedelics, Band-Aid, quick fix, and, you need to just find God and that's the only way. I absolutely believe you're wrong, my brother. Could not disagree more. It's work. This is not quick fixes. I just gave you 20 minutes of work you need to be doing. Now, again, they're not mutually exclusive. Finding God, spirituality, and these medicines. If you look into the history of it, I'm going to add an intelligence resource. You ain't reading it overnight. It's called The Immortality Key. Google it, order it. It's a Dan Brown novel, man. This guy goes to the Vatican. He goes to Greece. It's the research behind psychedelics. And guess what? Psychedelics and religion are joined at the hip. And again, ditch the word psychedelic if you're stuck in if you're Uncle Sam. Entheogenic. Again, old me, the term psychedelic made my head tilt. Like, okay, hippie, freak. Yeah, the government did a good job, didn't they? If your reaction to the word psychedelic is that, why is that? After the COVID pandemic, do you, honest to God, believe what the government tells you? Unbelievable what's going on in this country. Not going to get into a rant, not going to go down. I'm not going to spiral down, but folks, question everything. I've seen what this government do. Folks, I had a top secret SCI clearance. Let's just not even get into it. I will tell you and teach your children or your loved ones, whoever, to question everything. Question why psychedelics are illegal, except, thank you, Oregon, California, a lot of big cities. And again, quick reminder, because Oregon's like, oh my God, we legalized drugs and we might yank the leash back because it went out of, these aren't drugs, folks. These are medicines. They have healing power. Schedule I drug in this country is no therapeutic use and a high risk of addiction. That's a cigarette and alcohol. These are anti-addictive and they're therapeutic. So whether it's the Inflation Reduction Act or the Affordable Health Care Act, the government labels things the exact opposite of what they are. Question that. The Inflation Reduction Act caused massive inflation. You enjoy buying eggs and milk nowadays, folks? It ain't going anywhere. Inflation. And it's funny because they name it the exact opposite because they think we're idiots. A lot of us are. But these medicines will be, I'm praying the FDA gets it right by August 11th and by the summer, the fall, we are healing. Again, folks, don't trust me. Google's I hate saying the word Google. The internet's your friend, not Google. Look at the MAPS, MAPS, MAPS phase 3 trials. They did 2 phase 3 trials. 63, 67, it's a 6 in front of it. 60-something% showed no signs of PTS after the MDMA protocol with MAPS. Did you hear me? Spravato, I forget what the healing rate for PTS with Spravato is. 10, 15%. I forget what it is. It's in the teens. 63%? That's insane. You know what Rick Doblin at MAPS did after that blowout phase 3 study? Find harder PTS cases. Literally uncurable PTS people. Guess how that phase 3 study went? 71% showed clinically healed. Go read it on your own. Read the studies on your own. It's interesting. Double blind. Now I know what double blind means and placebo and all sorts of stuff. You can dig into it. Some people like to point out, well, there was a 30% in the folks. When people here, I love when people point that out. There are some people who got a placebo who still showed healed. You know why? Because if you tell somebody this might be MDMA or not, and they've heard good things about it, maybe the body or the mind kind of heals itself. So it's funny how some of the detractors, Big Pharma, are like, wow, the placebo group actually showed a really good. Yeah, man, because if my life sucks and I'm suffering from PTS right now, and I volunteered to do a study and they maybe gave me something that's going to help me, maybe God said, hey, I know you're struggling. Let me give you a little bit of a boost anyway, my son, my daughter. Isn't that funny? I love when people try and pick apart everything. People would complain it's not hot enough in hell. You do the research on your own and look into it. You read the phase 3 trials from MAPS. I gave you the cliff notes, the executive summary. You go read it. Don't believe me. I just told you. Question everything. But question why the government currently says these things are illegal. Big pharma, big tobacco, the alcohol lobby. Speaking of alcohol, BJ, one of the founders of Microdoses, we actually got holy water. It's a great alcohol substitute, folks. We have these in liquor stores now. I think you got them in, I forget how many stores in Jersey, in 7-Elevens. Ladies and gentlemen, try the holy water, folks. And again, I didn't bring my glasses, small writing on the back. I do one of these a day, man. This is I usually, not going to plug the coffee chain, but I usually do a mid-afternoon. Hey, let me go get a cup of coffee and power. Done. Can't stand that company anyway, but Microdoses. I got a case of this stuff at home. It's my mid-afternoon. All right, man. Got some airspeed back on the jet. Usually do it before or right after my afternoon mindfulness session. I do 2 a day, folks. When I wake up, go brush your teeth, wash your face, right back in bed, 20 minutes. Or I sit out by the pool. Sorry, 49 states getting hammered by winter or something right now. I live in God's waiting room in Boca Raton, and baby, I wake up right by the pool as the sun's coming up through our palm trees and everything like that. And morning meditation, 20 minutes. And then right around 3 in the afternoon. Now, if you're a trader, you're probably like, oh, that's the final hour of trading. It's just, that's what Matt taught us. Hey, 3 in the afternoon-ish is a good time, circadian-wise and all sorts of stuff-wise. So a little holy water before or after that meditation. And it's another 20-minute one. And I'm good to go. And then obviously about an hour before bed, 2 of these, man. Night duty. It's our mushroom, nootropic botanical blend. Sleep, reset, refreshed, reduce stress. Microdoses.com. Click on the top left. There's the Maverick Mind up there. And like I said in the last brief, please don't post this on social media or we're going to, we'll change the code. But if you use the discount code ALWAYS30, I'll give you a 30% discount. That's supposed to be for friends and family. If you're listening to this podcast, your friend and family to me. Okay. Currently, last time I Googled, I think the Max Afterburner podcast is in the top 2.5% of podcasts on the globe, which is pretty cool. My next question, after seeing that we were ranked up there, I had to go Google how many podcasts. 3.3 million, I think, are podcasts. So I'm kind of happy with this. Why did I go on that tangent? Because if this really explodes, we might have to change the discount code. Why? Because these actually, a portion of every sale of our Maverick Mind product goes to the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. If you can't make a donation, even a small donation, a cup of coffee, set up a monthly donation at nofallenheroes.com. Whatever you'd spend on that afternoon cup of coffee, maybe you throw it to the foundation. If you can't do that, but you want to take care of yourself with one of these products, a portion of every sale goes to the foundation. So you're helping yourself with your microdosing or your sleep or your holy water, and you're helping provide a healing grant to a veteran, first responder, or a family member. That's pretty cool. That's a self-licking ice cream cone, folks. That's a win-win. Microdoses.com, Maverick Mind on the top left, always 30 to get your discount. So good stuff. Episode, I think 90 this is your medicine checklist. I gave you some great intel. There's a ton more, though, intelligence assets, folks. If you Google the medicines, ibogaine journey, psilocybin journey, ayahuasca, the internet is exploding with this. We are on the leading edge of this. When, not if, MDMA is legal for therapeutic use this summer, this fall. Mom, pop, soccer moms, everybody's going to... I briefed you last week with Susie, or 2 weeks ago. Big article in the Wall Street Journal. The new glass of wine. Moms and high-power executive women are microdosing. It's all the rage. So, and this isn't a flash in the pan, folks. This isn't on to the next thing. This is the thing. War in Europe, war in the Middle East, horrible slaughter all over the place. China, Taiwan, maybe. The world's exploding. Crime in the United States. It's an absolute shit show here, folks. This is the thing. If people healed, man, this world would be a much better place. I've told you, if I could kidnap Putin and Zelensky and throw them down in Costa Rica in a Iboga retreat a week later, I guarantee you there would be peace. You don't see shells after sitting with the medicine. You see souls. Ain't no black, white, red, yellow, sex, creed, political persuasion. It breaks it all down. And you know as well as I do, one of the main reasons these medicines are illegal is because they have the potential to turn warriors into peacemakers. That doesn't go over so well, doesn't? With Raytheon and Lockheed and Boeing and the big defense industrial complex. We don't need free thinkers, Whiz. We need robots. We need killing machines. Profit. How about we knock that shit off? Healing people is not in a lot of people's best interest, and doesn't that suck? But if this is the work, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. I am doing this the rest of my life, and it ain't work. You can sign me up for this. I'm going to change minds. I'm going to change attitudes, or I'm going to die trying. Not going to die. I'm going to transition trying. We all transition. Man, you are nothing but energy. You are cosmic stardust, born on the same incredible, unbelievable, miraculous event billions and billions of years ago. We're all made from the same cosmic stardust. And we're going to return to that. But we are energy. Energy that cannot be destroyed ever. As God said to me on my first medicine experience, I have always been, and I will always be, as shall we. Microdoses.com, Maverick Mind. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged, especially at record market highs here. Fights on. Namaste and Basi. Whiz out.